Defector 10. The man who wasn't supposed to rule. When Kim Jong-il, the previous leader of North Korea, died in 2011, the world was stunned to see Kim Jong-un step forward. Most people didn't even know he existed until a few years before that. Why? Because Kim Jong-un wasn't the first choice, or even the second. His older half-brother Kim Jong-nam was supposed to take the throne. Kim Jong-nam had been groomed for leadership, educated abroad, and familiar with Western culture. But a single scandal changed everything. In 2001, he was caught trying to enter Japan with a fake passport, reportedly because he wanted to visit Tokyo Disneyland. The embarrassment was too much for Kim Jong-il to tolerate. From that moment, the father turned his gaze toward a different son, the quiet, less-known Kim Jong-un. Born in either 1983 or 1984, nobody outside North Korea knows for sure, Kim was educated in Switzerland under a fake name, Pak-un. He lived in a modest apartment, went to an international school near Bern, and was described by classmates as shy, obsessed with basketball, and strangely fascinated by Michael Jordan. He didn't speak much German or English, but his classmates remember him being polite and deeply competitive when it came to sports. No one knew that the quiet boy they were playing PlayStation with was the future ruler of one of the most secretive nations on Earth. When Kim Jong-il began showing signs of illness in the mid-2000s, he needed a successor who could secure his dynasty. Kim Jong-un, who shared his father's temper and ruthlessness, fit the mold. Within a few years, he was promoted through the ranks of the Korean Workers' Party and declared the great successor. And so, the boy who once blended into the crowd of Swiss students became the supreme leader of a nuclear state, without ever having to win an election or prove himself to the people. It's a story of inheritance, paranoia, and the chilling power of bloodline politics. Year 9. Obsession with Image. The Cult of Kim. Kim Jong-un doesn't just rule North Korea. He controls how he is seen. Every detail of his public image is meticulously staged. From his hairstyle to the angle of his photographs, everything is propaganda. The look itself, slicked back sides with a thick top, is not random. It's meant to resemble his grandfather, Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea. By mirroring his grandfather's style, Kim Jong-un taps into deep nostalgia among older citizens who still worship the regime's founding father. To the people of North Korea, Kim isn't just a man. He's a symbol of continuity, almost a reincarnation of the country's revolutionary past. The state media reinforces this every single day. They never call him Mr. Kim or the President. Instead, he's the dear, respected Marshal, the Supreme Leader, or even the son of the 21st century. When he appears in public, citizens weep uncontrollably, not out of choice but because not crying could be seen as disloyalty. There are stories, impossible to verify but repeated by defectors, of people being punished for failing to display enough emotion during state mourning periods. Even his physical appearance is manipulated. In 2014, after disappearing from public view for several weeks, rumors spread that Kim was seriously ill. When he finally reappeared, walking with a cane, state TV called it a sign of his hard work and sacrifice for the people. North Korean propaganda turned a limp into a symbol of devotion. Every gesture, every photo, every outfit, even the way he laughs at missile launches, is carefully crafted to sustain the image of an all-powerful, tireless ruler. But here's the twist. Kim Jong-un also understands Western media. He knows how headlines work. He knows that when he smiles beside a rocket or shakes hands with a global leader, it will appear on every major news outlet. In 2018, when he met Donald Trump in Singapore, it was the first time a North Korean leader had ever met a sitting U.S. president. But the real victory wasn't diplomatic, it was psychological. On North Korean TV, those images were broadcast as proof that the Supreme Leader had made America bow to him. Kim didn't just win the meeting, he won the narrative. Behind the curtains, Kim's obsession with his image runs deep into the country's art and education systems. Children are taught to praise him in songs. Artists paint his portrait without being allowed to make mistakes. Factories display his speeches like sacred scripture. The regime has spent decades turning one man into a myth, and for millions of North Koreans, that myth is more real than reality itself. Chapter 8. The Luxury Life of a Dictator. Despite leading one of the world's poorest nations, Kim Jong-un lives like a billionaire. While most North Koreans struggle to find enough food, the supreme leader reportedly owns a string of luxurious palaces scattered across the country, more than a dozen, according to satellite images analyzed by intelligence agencies. His main residence near Pyongyang features lakes, private beaches, and even a water park complete with giant slides. He's also believed to have a secret train system linking his estates, designed to be bomb-proof, equipped with conference rooms, and guarded by elite security squads. When Kim travels, the luxury follows. His private train moves slowly, about 40 miles per hour, but it's heavily armored, making it almost indestructible. Inside, it's fitted with plush leather seats, fine wines, and imported delicacies. There are reports that chefs from abroad were flown in just to prepare his favorite dishes, including Emmental cheese, sushi, and steak. His late father, Kim Jong-il, was notorious for importing Hennessy cognac by the crate, and Kim Jong-un seems to have inherited that same taste for excess. In 2015, a United Nations report claimed that Kim spent over $600 million a year on luxury goods, despite international sanctions. That includes fleets of Mercedes-Benz cars, high-end watches, designer furniture, and even a custom-made yacht. The irony? Most North Koreans can't even own a car. State media often shows Kim riding horses in snowy fields or inspecting military bases with a cigarette in hand. But behind those images is a world of unimaginable privilege. His obsession with basketball is another window into his extravagant tastes. Kim's idol growing up wasn't a political figure. It was Michael Jordan. He once collected so much NBA merchandise that his Swiss classmates nicknamed him the Boss. In 2013, Kim famously invited former NBA star Dennis Rodman to North Korea. The unlikely friendship shocked the world, a tattooed American basketball player and the leader of a totalitarian state watching basketball together in Pyongyang. But for Kim, it wasn't just about sports, it was about image. He wanted to show that he could be modern, relatable, even cool. That friendship became an unexpected diplomatic bridge that no politician could have created. Yet beneath all this glamour is an uncomfortable truth. Kim's luxury is a direct contrast to the suffering of his people. The same government that builds water parks for elites enforces strict rationing of rice and corn for citizens. Electricity often shuts off after dark, and many rural areas survive on makeshift stoves fueled by dried grass. While the elite dine on imported lobster, the poor scavenge for roots and bark. The divide between Kim's world and his people's reality couldn't be wider, and that's exactly how he wants it. By keeping his inner circle loyal through wealth and fear, Kim ensures that no one around him can imagine life without him. Chapter 7. The ruthless executioner, Kim Jong-un's rise to power didn't just involve ceremony and speeches, it was soaked in blood. When he officially took control in 2011, many doubted he could maintain authority. He was young, inexperienced, and surrounded by older generals who had served his father for decades. But Kim knew that to rule North Korea, you don't win trust, you crush threats. Within 2 years, he began a wave of purges unlike anything seen since his grandfather's reign. In 2013, the world watched in disbelief when Kim ordered the execution of his own uncle, Jang Song-thaek, once considered the second most powerful man in the country. Jang had been a key advisor and even helped Kim consolidate power after his father's death. But rumors of corruption and disloyalty were enough to seal his fate. North Korean state media accused him of treason, and acts worse than a dog. Reports later claimed he was executed by machine gun fire, though some sources suggest it was even more brutal. That act sent a terrifying message to anyone who might question Kim's authority. Loyalty is temporary, fear is permanent. From that moment, Kim became untouchable. Generals, ministers, even family members began disappearing. Some were allegedly executed for falling asleep during meetings or for minor policy mistakes. Others were demoted, sent to labor camps, or erased from photographs, a modern echo of Stalin's old tactics. The violence didn't stop there. In 2017, Kim's half-brother Kim Jong-un, the same man who once was the heir apparent, was assassinated in a crowded airport in Malaysia. Two women approached him and smeared his face with VX nerve agent, one of the deadliest chemical weapons known to man. He died within minutes. Both women later claimed they thought it was a prank for a reality TV show. The world immediately suspected North Korea's hand behind the attack, and intelligence agencies confirmed it. Kim Jong-nam had been living in exile under Chinese protection, but even there, his younger brother's reach found him. This ruthless pattern defines Kim Jong-un's regime. Power isn't maintained through charisma or vision. It's maintained through terror. His purges keep the elite terrified, constantly guessing who might be next. In a country with no opposition party, no free press, and no elections, this is how control survives. Kim doesn't need to be loved. He just needs to be feared. Yet, despite this brutality, Kim often appears smiling, laughing, or waving on TV, as if he's just another world leader. It's a chilling duality. The man who jokes with soldiers one day can sign an execution order the next. In the theater of North Korean politics, blood is simply another form of applause. Thucker 6, The Nuclear Game, Power Through Fear. If Kim Jong-un has one weapon more powerful than all his bombs combined, it's fear, both inside and outside North Korea. The country's nuclear program is his greatest source of leverage on the world stage. For decades, Western analysts doubted North Korea's ability to build functioning nuclear weapons. But under Kim Jong-un, those doubts vanished. Within just a few years of taking power, Kim accelerated missile testing at a pace that shocked even the most seasoned observers. Between 2011 and 2017, North Korea conducted more tests than under both of his predecessors combined. In 2017, the world watched anxiously as North Korea launched the Hwasong-15, an intercontinental ballistic missile capable of reaching the U.S. mainland. Pyongyang claimed it could carry a super-large nuclear warhead. The timing wasn't random. Every missile test was perfectly choreographed, not just for military advancement but for psychological impact. The tests usually coincided with international events or sanctions, as if to say, "Punish us, and we'll remind you who you're dealing with." Kim Jong-un understands the game of brinkmanship better than anyone. Each test, each fiery launch over the Pacific, buys him international attention and bargaining power. When he meets global leaders, he doesn't come as a desperate dictator begging for aid. He arrives as a man who can start a war that no one wants. That's his insurance policy. The nuclear program isn't just about defense, it's survival. It is the ultimate deterrent keeping foreign powers from toppling his regime the way Saddam Hussein or Muammar Gaddafi were overthrown. Kim saw what happened to them and swore it would never happen to him. But while the West sees missile launches as threats, at home, they're portrayed as victories. State TV broadcasts images of Kim smiling proudly, surrounded by scientists, watching rockets light up the night sky. To his people, it's proof that their leader stands toe-to-toe with the world's superpowers. Children are taught songs praising his atomic courage. News anchors announce each test as if it were a triumph of national pride, not a provocation that could trigger war. In 2018, Kim stunned the world by agreeing to meet U.S. President Donald Trump, the first meeting between the two nations' leaders in history. It was a moment of global spectacle. full of handshakes and smiles. Yet, beneath the surface, nothing changed. Kim didn't give up his nukes. He paused tests long enough to ease sanctions pressure and then quietly resumed them. To this day, experts believe North Korea possesses dozens of nuclear warheads and enough material for many more. Kim doesn't need to use them. Just having them makes him untouchable. The irony is that this nuclear game has turned one of the world's smallest economies into one of its biggest geopolitical headaches. For Kim Jong-un, it's not about military supremacy. It's about survival by intimidation. He's turned the threat of destruction into a diplomatic currency, and every missile that pierces the sky reminds the world that North Korea, no matter how isolated, cannot be ignored. Year 5. A digital dictator in a locked country. In a world connected by the internet, North Korea stands as a digital time capsule. But Kim Jong-un knows the power of information all too well. His country may be cut off from the global web, but that doesn't mean it's completely offline. In fact, Kim has turned technology into both a weapon and a wall. Ordinary citizens don't have access to the internet. Instead, they use a heavily censored intranet called Kwangmyong, which means bright star. It's filled with government-approved propaganda, science pages copied from outdated encyclopedias, and digital versions of Kim's speeches. Only the elite, trusted officials connected to the regime's intelligence networks have access to the real internet, and even then under close surveillance. But while North Koreans can't freely browse, Kim's cyber army can. Over the past decade, North Korea has quietly built one of the world's most aggressive hacker units. Operating from secret buildings in Pyongyang, China, and Southeast Asia, these elite hackers, known by Western intelligence as Lazarus Group, are responsible for some of the biggest cybercrimes in history. In 2014, they hacked Sony Pictures after the company released The Interview, a comedy mocking Kim Jong-un. The attack wiped thousands of computers and leaked sensitive information, costing the studio millions. It was a clear message: mock the supreme leader and you'll pay the price. That was only the beginning. In 2016, the same group attempted to steal nearly $1 billion from the Bangladesh Central Bank using a sophisticated cyber heist through the SWIFT banking system. They managed to move $81 million before being caught, money that intelligence agencies believe was funneled directly into Kim's secret funds. North Korean hackers have also targeted cryptocurrency exchanges, stealing digital assets worth hundreds of millions of dollars. These attacks aren't random. They part of the regime's economic survival strategy, using cybercrime to bypass sanctions and fund weapons programs. Domestically, technology is just as carefully controlled. Every mobile phone sold in North Korea is state-monitored. People can't call abroad, download apps, or send unsupervised texts. The government uses surveillance software to track messages, photos, and even GPS locations. In recent years, Kim has introduced laws punishing anyone caught watching foreign media, particularly South Korean dramas or Western movies, with imprisonment or even death. Yet, despite this, underground digital smuggling thrives. Flash drives with South Korean K-pop videos or Hollywood films are passed secretly across the border with China, giving ordinary citizens rare glimpses of the outside world. Kim Jong-un's paradox is clear. He fears information, yet depends on it. His propaganda machine relies on digital control, but his hackers thrive in global chaos. He has built a country that lives in the past while weaponizing the future. North Korea may seem frozen in time, but behind closed doors, it's running one of the most advanced digital shadow operations on the planet. Year 4. The master of manipulated modernity. At first glance, you might think Kim Jong-un is trying to drag North Korea into the modern world. He builds gleaming high-rises in Pyongyang, introduces new shopping centers, and talks about scientific progress and economic reform. But here's the trick. It's all theater. These signs of modernization are not for his people. They're for the cameras. When foreign journalists visit, they're taken on carefully choreographed tours. Spotless streets, shiny supermarkets, cheerful citizens waving flags. Yet, the moment the cameras leave, the truth reemerges. Empty shelves, power outages, and families surviving on cornmeal and foraged plants. Still, Kim has learned something his father never quite mastered: the optics of modern leadership. He knows that images of skyscrapers and construction cranes make him look progressive, even reasonable. So, while his nuclear scientists are perfecting warheads, his propaganda engineers are perfecting illusions. Take the Mireille Scientists' Street project in Pyongyang, for example. On the surface, it looks like a thriving, futuristic city district. Apartment blocks for researchers, new shops, Wi-Fi hubs. But according to defectors, many of these luxury apartments don't have running water, and the shops are mostly for show. The Wi-Fi, only accessible to officials with top clearance. Kim calls it Byungjin, the dual strategy, advancing the economy and the military at the same time. It sounds pragmatic, even visionary, but in reality, the resources that should go into food and health care are funneled straight into weapons programs and elite privilege. While the people tighten their belts, Kim parades new missiles at lavish military displays. And yet, Kim does understand the psychology of modernization. He occasionally introduces small consumer luxuries to the population. Smartphones, bicycles, even cheap cosmetics. These glimpses of progress act as pressure valves. They convince citizens that life is improving, that the nation is advancing. A little taste of modernity can be a powerful sedative when it's the only thing you're allowed to taste. But Kim's most dangerous modernization is his T in steel or concrete, S in narrative control. Through social media manipulation abroad and film production at home, North Korea has built a sophisticated propaganda ecosystem. The state produces news reports, showing soldiers dancing joyfully or farmers praising Kim for making it rain. These clips are shared globally by sympathizers or trolls, creating an echo chamber where fact and fiction blur. In some cases, North Korea even uploads strange travel vlogs filmed by foreigners under supervision, presenting Pyongyang as peaceful and clean. The result is psychological warfare disguised as tourism. Kim's genius lies in contrast. He sells images of prosperity while feeding a myth of resistance, a nation standing strong against the Western world. The skyscrapers, the parades, the polished suits, all serve one message: we may be poor, but we are proud. To his people, that pride feels like purpose. To the rest of the world, it's propaganda perfected. 3. The people's leader, who rarely sees his people. In official portraits, Kim Jong-un appears surrounded by workers, children, and soldiers, smiling warmly, often embracing crying citizens. These images flood North Korean newspapers every day, reinforcing the myth that he's a caring leader who walks among his people. But the truth: Kim's actual contact with the ordinary population is minimal, and every encounter is scripted to the smallest detail. When he makes public visits, entire towns are rehearsed days in advance. Roads are cleared, flowers are planted overnight, and citizens are told exactly what to say. Selected workers or students are coached for hours on how to cry, when to clap, and how deeply to bow. The camera always captures the perfect angle. Adoration frozen in time. These orchestrated appearances aren't about connection, they're about control. Despite being called the People's Marshal, Kim lives in near-total isolation. His inner circle is tiny, consisting mostly of family members, loyal guards, and hand-picked advisors who owe everything to him. He doesn't mingle freely, doesn't shake hands unscripted, and certainly doesn't take questions. Every meeting is pre-approved, every conversation rehearsed. Even when he's filmed inspecting factories or farms, those sites are often specially prepared, with staged workers and fake products designed to look impressive on TV. and yet the image works. Inside North Korea, people genuinely believe he personally oversees every improvement, from a new bridge to a fresh harvest. Defectors describe how villagers cry tears of gratitude when Kim's name is mentioned, convinced that he alone keeps the nation alive. Children learn songs like "We Have Nothing to Envy," while adults are told their lives are blessed thanks to his infinite love. It has a bizarre blend of cult and monarchy. A leader worshipped not for what he does, but for what he's imagined to be. Kim also uses these public appearances to project strength during crises. After natural disasters or failed rocket launches, he's often seen surrounded by generals or comforting victims. But again, it's theater. The goal is to show that he as not just a ruler, he as destiny embodied, the father figure of the nation. When he vanished for weeks in 2020, rumors spread globally about his health or even his death. State TV later released footage of him inspecting a fertilizer plant, smiling and waving. Analysts believe the footage was pre-recorded. It didn't matter. Within hours, the narrative was restored. The supreme leader lives, and life can go on. The irony is that Kim's isolation fuels his image of closeness. The fewer real interactions he has, the more mythical each appearance becomes. In a land without truth, even a smile can be sacred. To his people, Kim doesn't just lead them. He is the nation itself. His absence is unthinkable, his mortality unspoken. That's how a man becomes a myth, and how a myth becomes a prison. 2. The Shadow Dynasty. Bloodlines above all. To understand Kim Jong-un, you have to understand his blood. In North Korea, leadership isn't earned, it's inherited like a crown. The Kim family has ruled since 1948, beginning with Kim Il-sung, then Kim Jong-il, and now Kim Jong-un, a dynasty of absolute power spanning 3 generations. In the eyes of the regime, this isn't just political succession, it's almost divine lineage. Kim Il-sung was called the Eternal President, even after his death. His body lies preserved in a marble mausoleum, glowing under soft lights as millions of citizens bow before him each year. Kim Jong-il became the dear leader, and after his death, propaganda declared that even the skies wept. Kim Jong-un inherited not just a country, but a religion centered around his family's image. This bloodline mythology is deeply woven into daily life. Children are taught that the Kim family were heroes chosen by history itself, destined to guide the Korean people forever. Textbooks rewrite past events to elevate the family, claiming Kim Il-sung single-handedly liberated Korea from Japan and that Kim Jong-il invented the hamburger, which they call the double bread with meat. It sounds absurd, but for North Koreans born into this information vacuum, it's truth. Kim Jong-un continues this divine narrative by ensuring his family's presence is everywhere. Their portraits hang in every home. Their birthdays are national holidays, and even the calendar starts from 1912, the year Kim Il-sung was born. The dynasty also thrives on mystery. Little is known about Kim Jong-un's children, rumored to be 3 in total. Their identities and whereabouts are state secrets, but intelligent sources believe his eldest child, possibly a daughter, could one day be groomed as heir. It's a chilling thought. Even in the 21st century, a nuclear-armed nation operates like a medieval monarchy. But maintaining this dynasty requires more than myth. It requires paranoia. Kim surrounds himself with loyalists chosen from powerful families, constantly rotating their positions so none can rise too high. Generals and ministers live in fear of being executed for the smallest misstep. Every act of loyalty is performed as a survival ritual, not devotion. And through this unending cycle of fear and worship, the Kim dynasty keeps breathing, a living relic of absolute control in a world that has moved on. Year 1. The Paradox of Kim Jong-un, the man behind the mask. For all the power, mystery, and control, Kim Jong-un remains a paradox. He's a man both modern and archaic, ruthless and oddly relatable, childish and calculating. Beneath the propaganda lies a leader who may understand the outside world far better than he lets on. He spent his formative years in the West, played basketball with foreign kids, and likely watched American action movies. He knows the rhythms of modern media, how to manipulate headlines, how to weaponize spectacle. He's the first North Korean leader to master the art of global perception. And yet, for all his knowledge, he remains trapped in his own creation. He rules through fear, but that same fear isolates him. He demands worship, but that worship hides the truth from him. No one dares tell him when crops fail, or when soldiers are starving, or when sanctions cripple the economy. In that sense, Kim Jong-un is as much a prisoner as he is a jailer, a man who built walls so high even he can't see beyond them. He's a dictator in an age of democracy, a monarch in an era of machines. He builds skyscrapers in a city without food, tests missiles while people trade rice for plastic shoes. He shakes hands with world leaders and smiles for cameras, yet remains a ghost to his own citizens. His genius lies in knowing exactly how much chaos to create and how much illusion to maintain, to stay irreplaceable. But perhaps the most haunting truth is this: Kim Jong-un is not just one man. He's the product of a system designed to survive him. Even if he disappears tomorrow, the machine of control, the propaganda, the fear, the worship, will keep turning. In that way, Kim isn't merely the ruler of North Korea. He's the face of an idea that refuses to die. The idea that power, once taken, can become eternal if you rewrite reality itself. So the next time you see his face on the news, smiling behind missile launches or standing atop marble balconies, remember that every image is both truth and illusion. Behind the laughter is fear. Behind the power is fragility. And behind the man called the Supreme Leader is a child of history, shaped by secrets, survival, and the cold mathematics of control. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like and share to help YouTube spread it further. Subscribe to our channel for more deep, eye-opening stories from around the world. Join the community for exclusive content and behind-the-scenes videos. And if you'd like to support us directly, tap the thanks button below. Every contribution helps us bring you more untold stories that challenge the myths of our world.